Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so I picked up my paperwork and now instead of mailing it, I'm just gonna walk it over because it's like 22-minute walk away down on 6 in Parkview, and I'm on 6 in Vermont, so that's just a nice little walk, and I can hand it directly to them so I can make sure that it's there on time, because if I mail it, maybe it gets there on time, maybe it doesn't. Since the place is very close, it makes no sense for me to even take any chances, so that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, today's been good so far. Ain't got no complaints. Just trying to take care of all the business I got to. I obviously wanted to make this be the priority, but I did have other things I needed to do, and I got them done as well. Buying some stuff from the grocery store, and now just taking care of the business at hand. So, oh man, slept pretty good last night. No complaints. Nothing that really stood out. First room in that particular night in that room was good. So I think I'll be all right this upcoming 3-week period. But yeah, man, I figured I'd turn on the camera for this duration of this walk and just kind of make some content here. There's been a lot going on in the world that we pay attention to a lot. Of course, the situation with the genocide. It's a lot of bombs flying off in Israel right now, man. The occupied Palestine land known as Israel. There's a lot of bombs going off over there, man. Iran hit them up pretty good, even though propaganda is telling all of us that they didn't hit them pretty good. I saw footage that told me otherwise. I believe my lying eyes rather than the propaganda above our heads, and that's how it has to be in this country, because after all, we're on the side of the bad guys. We kind of know that at this point. So, as I told you guys in a random video I made about 2 months ago, I ain't got no problem with Iran. I don't care what my country doing. I ain't got no problem with Iran. I don't know anybody from Iran. As far as I can tell, Iran's standing for the same thing I'd want to stand for, which is the betterment of the people of Palestine. So as long as that's what they're doing, they have my support. My concern is, because all of this is rigged for Israel to get away with whatever they want to do and America to let them do it, I'm concerned for the people of the resistance, that the courts that are supposed to be coming down on Israel will likely come down on them. That's what I'm starting to be it's clear to me that Israel is covered, which means whoever attacked Israel is not. And that's the concern there for me. War is one thing, but to come down and sanction people for standing up for what's right is an entirely different thing. And that's exactly what I expect those who are supposed to be holding the world accountable to do. They're going to come down on the good guys for ultimately standing up for the rights of these Palestinian people. That's what I think is coming, man. And I think that should be expected by everybody. That should be expected. So that's what I would tell anybody who follows me, who may just happen to stumble upon me. I'd say, man, you need to spread the word. If you're on the side of free Palestine, prepare yourself for Iran, prepare yourself for Lebanon and all of the people of the resistance to be sanctioned by the same people who are supposed to be holding Israel accountable. Expect it. See it coming. Know it's coming. Because that is the thing. They ain't holding Israel accountable. They're allowing Israel to do whatever they want. And so what does that tell us? That tells us that whatever comes against Israel, stopping them from doing it, is ultimately going to be seen as the terrorist, the bad guy, or whatever the case may be. And so there needs to be some bracing or preparation for that. Whatever that looks like, there needs to be some bracing for that. I mean, people need to be ready for that. Don't be caught off guard by that. And that's what I would say, man. So, I don't know, man. I'm praying for the betterment of the resistance, dude. I've seen so much death in my phone. I saw a kid with his head crushed this morning, you guys. I kid you not. A baby, 5 months old, head crushed, gone, pulled out from under rubble. Like, this isn't slowing down, man. And so, as far as I can tell, you know, I was listening to a guy from our country, America, saying, you know, you shouldn't be rooting for people to, for war on either side. You shouldn't want anybody to die. You shouldn't. And I'm like, that's what I was saying before I knew what was going on, before I had a knowledge of what was happening. But now that I not only have knowledge of the history of what started all of this, and ultimately have been witnessing my phone to everything that has happened, I don't feel that way, bro. I'm rooting for the resistance to kill all of the bad guys, man. Baby killing bastards need to die. Ain't no, well, peace. Nah, no peace. These people don't respect peace, bro. Peace is what you do when you allow people the freedom to move around in their own damn land. These are individuals, and this is something we got to understand. Israel and any colonial entity absolutely needs to fend off all that would otherwise kick them out of their land. Why? Because they are a foreign agent coming into the land looking to occupy it. So you don't get to do that without paying your dues. You understand what I'm saying? These are standards set by the West. You don't get to come into my house and take my home and lay down in my bed. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to come to my property, step all in my property and pretend like it's yours, or demand that I give it to you because you are you and therefore. That's a standard that the West doesn't allow themselves. So that they would go about doing this to others should be understood. There will be some resistance to that. And so naturally they're aggressive in protecting themselves from the due resistance to their behavior. And so what they do is they try to destroy all of the people on the land. They did this in Australia. They did this here in America. They did that in Canada. They try to destroy all of the natives so that due resistance, those who would say, hey, you can't come to my land, aren't stopping them. They won't have the numbers to do it. They use whatever means they have to eradicate whoever was there before them, and then stand in place to try to put themselves in position more or less to destroy anybody who would otherwise be there beforehand to hold them accountable. And that accountability is what they can't have happen because they have people watching them. People who have leverage on them, waiting for them to occupy said lands so that they can put themselves in the strongest position to be able to trade and maneuver within those lands to the best of their ability within the leverage provided. So they have to keep leverage over those who are moving them in a different direction. I know he's mad at me for telling the truth, bro. I don't know why he's on the side of the bad guys, but I don't understand you, brother. But you don't even know what I'm talking about. These very people we talking about brought you here, took your ancestors and put you in a position to be somewhere you don't want to be, brother. You angry with me because your spirit ain't right, but the reality is who I'm telling you, I'm telling you, you are listening to somebody telling the truth about something that is not good for our people. I'm not talking about your life, sir. I'm talking about colonialism. White people. I didn't say that. Brother, I didn't say nothing about meth. No, you misunderstood what I was saying. I'm not saying that. You're not hearing me correctly. You're misunderstanding me. Your spirit is mischaracterizing what I'm saying, sir. I ain't asking anything, brother. No, I'm not. No, brother. That's not what's happening at all, brother. Brother, I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about white people taking lands from people they have no business taking it from. I'm talking about that on my channel. Brother, them drugs is messing you up, man. I'm telling you. You telling me meth? I'm telling you it's meth, bro. It's no good for you.
That's what I'm trying to cut it off. When you find out, and just
you too, bro. You angry, man, but you angry at the wrong person. I'm telling the truth about some people that are against both of us.
The thing is, I know that I do that, and you know too. That's the reason why folks harass me about it.
I'm not looking at you in any way. You too, bro. Anyway, that man is drugged up, and he doesn't understand that his spirit is against what I'm saying because I'm talking about something that is righteous, and he has a devil in him. So his intention is to distract away from my point of view so that the truth that I have inside of me cannot be said. That's how the devil works. He get in the head of those compromised so that they're not in a position to hear and receive the truth that's in the voice of those the Lord has used to speak. And I'm glad we were able to see that because that's exactly how he does it. As I always tell y'all, when you're moving in a space that allows you to be used by the chess pieces of the devil, you don't have to be connected to anything. He just gonna use you outright, and you've seen it right there. That's a prime example. Anyway, to get back to what I was saying before I was interrupted by the gentleman, the truth of the matter is there are people in this world who need to occupy lands that are not their own. And the only way they're gonna be able to do that is to eradicate that of those who were there beforehand, so that they have no resistance in them taking that land. This is what you're seeing in occupied Palestine, known as Israel. This is what you're seeing in Australia. This is what you've seen in America. They need to be able to not have any resistance to that colonial process. As a result of that, they can move about the land as they see fit, and ultimately find themselves in the strongest position to, within trade, not have any resistance messing with those in negotiations for which they'd have leverage. There are other people in the room, and they got to be the strongest in the room to get things done, so they can get the best price for trade, so they can get the best price for goods. So what they can't have is war and righteous resistance to that for which is occupation getting in the way of their ability to use that leverage and buying power that they need amongst those they're willing to trade with. This is what we're talking about. That was the point I was trying to make before my homeboy over here just went into his own space. He thought I was talking about him and his drug problem, which is really just him being possessed by the devil, more or less, to be honest with you. That's what I was trying to explain to him. Like, bro, I ain't got nothing. Anyway, so it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, as a person of color, I tell you the truth, man. There's a lot of things up against us. Our own people sometimes, as you could clearly see right there. And the substances that have been handed to us to make us worse. The enemy itself within us that would allow for us to be lured by the temptation of drugs like meth, like homeboy on right there. But also it's that of this colonial entity that has controlled our minds for a very long time. Who controlled the narrative of our reputation as well, putting it in a space for which people would look at us and say, you are not better than that for which is displayed by those who represent you in different ways. And that is what it is that I'm hopeful not only I can suggest that others help change, but that we change that within ourselves. And the first thing we got to do is become knowledgeable about these tactics that have been used against us, so that we can raise our children to know better, and then from there we can do better as a group. But as long as we're sitting in this space paying into these projects, paying into these colonial projects, they're going to be able to take that and use that process continuously going forward, just like they did with America, just like they did with so many other places that they've done this. And they will continue to do it throughout the Middle East, and then they will spread to other lands as well when they take over the Middle East. It's just what they do. It's just what they do. Meanwhile, you walk past people who don't have a lot, sending $12 million, billion dollars, forget million, 12 billion, 16 billion dollars to foreign places while people lay on the streets in their own country. You know, that's a real thing. With all the money that they're sending to these people who ultimately just hold leverage over them, with all the money they're sending over there, they can take care of all of these people's problems. Take care of everybody's financial circumstance. Give these kids the best education possible. But they refuse to do that. And the reason why they refuse to do that is because they are not forced to. They're not forced to. See, some of the conversation is about their morals. Some of the conversation is more so about their intentions in gaining money, gaining wealth, gaining power, gaining land. And if you don't have the leverage to force them into spaces that you respect in regards to morality, then they're going to go with whatever it does. And that's what we've come to understand. And as long as they keep as many people in the dark about this intention, they can continue to rise above the fray on the backs of people who don't know any better and ain't going to be able to do no better. We got to grow past this. And we can't get derailed or distracted by individuals like that dude who tried to distract me just now with his messed up spirit. Keep us from being focused on what it is we need to do in order to rise above what it is that ultimately is above us. And see what happens if we don't. Respect what happens if we don't. Their intentions is to take over the entire world. And if science will allow it, they will take over other worlds and claim them as their own. There's no end to that hunger. There's no end to that thirst. Colonialism's thirst doesn't end even on Earth. That's what I'm trying to express to y'all. They'll find a way to live on Mars, they're going to claim Mars is a white man's land only. A Jewish man's land only. And anybody that's there lives at the behest of them. And until you take that leverage for them as a Gentile or whatever the hell they call us, they're going to continue to stand on that notion that that is what it is that's ultimately supposed to be going on. And I'm telling you, there's no fear stronger than the fear they have of losing control. Not your fear of them. Nothing on this earth is stronger than that of them facing the comeuppance of what it is that ultimately should be coming their way for the evil that they've done. Nothing at all. You got to understand this. When you see bombs bursting in the air over Israel and you see Israelis peeing on themselves, understand it's because they've been in a space where they know that this was inevitable. They fear this in a different kind of way because everything they do, the propaganda over their head is about protecting them for the very thing that ultimately is coming their way, which is bombs bursting in the air over their heads. It's why they keep on attacking the hell out of those Palestinian people. It's because they think they all terrorists. So when you see the bombs actually bursting in the air over their heads, you understand how terrified they are of not only the action, but they've built up a certain complex about the process of that action. That's what I've come to understand. You're not just seeing the normal fear that comes with thinking someone's going to kill you. You're seeing the anticipated fear that ultimately propaganda has put in place for them to anticipate and thus to be terrified of. It's a different type of scare, friends. Because everything they do is about protecting them from the terrorists, the so-called terrorists, and that they are due to whatever it is that the terrorists have. You see what I'm saying? That they do that they're supposed to have it. So when the terrorists get the upper hand or start displaying the behavior for which they are terrified of, you really see a different type of fear there. And that's what you see in there. They ain't just scared of dying. They are terrified of being killed by who they deem are terrorists. It's like a different type of boogeyman, man. And so that's what I'm trying to express to everybody. It's an understanding that needs to come from paying attention to these circumstances that are going on overseas for which we're taught not to pay attention to. You know, you're supposed to care about what's going on anywhere except your borders, but everybody here from different borders, so how that work? Everybody here from somewhere else, so how that work? I mean, it just becomes a situation. No, thank you, brothers. It just becomes one of them situations where you start paying attention to these things and you realize, yo, this is what kept me from being in a position to be as helpful to the world as I needed to be. This is what kept me paying into these colonial projects and their wealth. It's the culture and the lack of context needed for us to understand how to work around that culture and to know what type of power you have, even if you're somebody who don't have a lot, even if you're somebody who don't come from strong means. You got all the power in the world because together you can raise awareness for what it means and what it is about. And with the power of the people comes an exposure of that fear, because they're not truly due what it is that they think they're due, and that they are coercing themselves into these spaces where the terrorists, so to speak, are going to come down raining bombs on their head. Not because it's in the terrorist nature to do so, but because they've been provoking it without knowledge and without self-awareness in that process. They're lacking self-awareness in the process of provoking people to do the things they are terrified of them doing. And the very thing that they apply, any type of action that they apply to someone else, any type of label they apply to someone else, or any type of solution that they apply to their imaginary terrorists, is actually what they know should be applied to themselves. If anybody knew how to stop them, it's them. And they tell you that in every way they describe how to stop someone else who's doing the things that they're ultimately doing. They're ultimately doing themselves. Every accusation is a confession, and we understand this. When it comes to those type of people, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what to tell the people to wake them up. They know exactly how to stop an entity like themselves, and they show it to us every single day. You know, we're supposed to just sit here and say, yeah, whoever they're labeling this on is who it's applied to. No, they study themselves, and they create the reputation apply it to someone else, that's actually what it is they've gained, if not for the truth in the eyes of all of us seeing them what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? It's like every accusation is a confession, every application is a solution to the problem of the person going against it. A solution. They talk about propaganda and how it's been used, AI being used. That's what they use. They talk about how someone's a terrorist using human shields. That's what they're doing. That's why they got the notion of all these things. They say these terrorists are going to use the R word on them, going to SA them. That's what they do. That's what they celebrate. Every bit of what it is they accuse others of is what it is that they're doing. They say that the terrorists are manipulating government and getting all in the UN. They get all in our places of government. That's who they occupy. You see what I'm saying? Every accusation a confession. So as we come to understand this and pay attention to it closely, we understand how to stop them because they're giving us the blueprint. We understand how to look through their mental gymnastics because they're always confessing, constantly confessing. They want to get on the people of Lebanon for putting military sites in rural areas with a bunch of people. That's what they did in Israel. They put a ton of military places in the presence of where they knew a lot of people would be, so that when people would attack them naturally for the stuff they provoke, you would then get to call the people who are attacking you terrorists for attacking innocent places. But first it became you putting those military bases in innocent places so that you can hide behind that narrative. It's called human shields. This is what they do. And so as we come to understand this, we got to wake up to it, because as I tell people, man, what's going on in Palestine is a true north for the understanding how much you should trust the people who govern over you. How much you should put into what it is that they tell you you should be putting into. Those who say, oh, you can trust us, we have your best interests at heart, they're proving to you by way of what it is we're paying attention to, what they're really about and what it is they really ultimately value. And it certainly isn't us. It certainly isn't people who don't have a lot or people who are trying to get just enough. No. And we're supposed to be too afraid to say anything, too afraid to do anything, too afraid to speak out. But if I'm seeing clearly, I should be afraid of what it looks like when I don't. You know, it's funny because they're telling Iran we're going to strike back for striking us. You're striking when Iran doesn't strike. Why do you think Iran is striking? It's because you're striking them first and they're trying to defend themselves, but they don't have a right to defend themselves, right? You do. Except for you're the aggressor. You're the one that's actually applying all of these pressurized circumstances for which to be responded to. You're the one. You're the one, America. You're the one, Israel. You're the ones that's putting forth the aggression. If you don't start, nothing won't be nothing. But you're going to start something because you can't just stand still. If you stand still, you fear you're going to be killed because you deserve to die for what it is you've done to these people. For pushing them aside and treating them like dirt, for all of the different energies that you engage in. You deserve it. And it doesn't matter how much propaganda you put over people's heads. At the end of the day, there's still going to be a few of us who are going to see clearly and we're going to speak out, and we ain't going to care. Because we care more about what happens for the truth coming out rather than we care about standing still and act dystopian while you continue to kill children in places where they look brown, where they may pray to Jesus, may pray to Allah. A lot of people don't even know they're killing Christians. They're killing Christians in the name of colonialism. And we're supposed to stand still and just be like, oh yeah, it's fine. No, it's not fine. It's not fine. They're killing children, babies. And they're standing behind politics saying it's necessary. Oh, we're trying to kill a bad guy. And you kill 500 citizens that don't have nothing to do with those bad guys? And that's supposed to be math I'm supposed to be able to go along with because it's you, right? Nah, that's bull. And you know it's bull, and it's not something you would go for at all. But I'm supposed to go for it because it's you, right? And I don't value myself as much as you value you, right? And you got the leverage. You control the government. You control different spectrums that ultimately poor people need. So therefore, we're going to stand down while you kill our kids and just be cool with it, right? Wrong. I'm a descendant of Native Americans. I'm a descendant of black people. Why in the hell am I gonna sit here and let you play that game again with the Arabs? Why I'm gonna sit here and do that again while I'm watching you do that to other people? I'm gonna sit here and watch you do it again and not have nothing to say? Far too intelligent for that. I'm far too blessed for that. I'm far too awake for that. So as a result, I wake up before everybody else does and try to wake them up. That's fine. That's what the Lord put me here to do. I'm going to do that. But ain't nothing I said ain't true. Ain't nothing I ain't said I ain't seen footage of with my own eyes. Babies with their head crushed this morning. This morning. Not last week. Not none of that. No. This morning. Seen it on my own IG page, man. Somebody needs to tell the truth about this. And why would it not be me? Why would it not be me? Descendant of the slave, descendant of the people you stole this land from. Why would it not be me? Make it make sense. You got me thinking my brother's my enemy? I'm not paying into that propaganda. I know who my enemy is. And I know they ain't nowhere near me. They wouldn't have the balls to get anywhere near me. That's the point. Most of those who really hate me are terrified of me and don't want to be within a mile of me. That's the point. We out here thinking we each other's enemy, man. No, that man ain't got no power over you. No, that woman ain't got no power over you. Can't do nothing to change your life. Can't do nothing but cut you down in the name of their own desperation, man. That is not the bigger picture. There is a much bigger picture. A controlled bigger picture. And it's driven by racism and hypocrisy, literal hypocrisy. It's not even religious extremism because they don't believe in God, but they stand behind religion. In the open. Imagine that. They don't believe in God, but they stand behind religion. That's the hypocrisy of that for which controls your country, America. That's the hypocrisy for which controls your country, Canada. All the colonial spaces. That is it. Individuals who claiming that they have been given something by God, but also claim they don't believe in God. Make it make sense. They're following something in a book that's supposed to be religious in nature. But who's the God they serve? If not for the person who came up with the entire Zionist movement being an atheist, who do they serve? Well, the answer is they serve themselves. They believe themselves to be God. That's the answer. The answer is they expect for you to bow to them and for you to ultimately be cool with them doing whatever it is they choose to do to you. That's what it is. It is religious in nature, but no, the God is in them, they believe. That's who they serve. And they hate those who worship something higher than God because they can't control them, which is why they're waging war against the Arabs. Because those people praise God all day, all night. All they do is worship Allah. That's all they do. So of course they're going to hate them people. Of course they're going to want to take them out. Of course they're going to make them look like they're the worst people in the world. If I'm God and you people standing in the way of me being able to control the earth because you believe in something greater than me, what the hell am I supposed to do but tear you down so I can continue moving without you? If I can't control you, I got to move you out the way. Ain't that how that works? So a lot of people tell you they tell the truth, they believe the truth and all that. But this is actual truth. This is what's actually going on. This is what's controlling a lot of what's going on over our heads. This is why you suffered so much. Why they continue to send money to rich people to protect them from accountability. Mind you, that's all it is. They're not sending money to Israel because Israel has enemies. They're sending money to Israel because Israel's provoking people. And now those people are standing up to Israel, and this is what you're sending your money over for. That's exactly what's happening here. You're sending your money to bad guys so that they can be protected in destroying innocent people. That's literally what's happening here. That's why y'all need to start paying attention to Palestine. That's why y'all need to start paying attention to what's going on in Congo. That's why you need to start paying attention to what's going on in Sudan. Because the same people who are funding one are funding all three. It's always been them. Always been them. Follow the money. You ain't got to follow my words. Follow the money. What you think going on in Venezuela? Same people. Same people. Anywhere where there's oil, there you find them. Mucking things up. Pouring money into warring factions. Individuals who are otherwise terrorized out of desperation. So that they will be able to create enough nonsense going on in the land to come in, swoop up and pick up the plunder from all of those wars. That's all it's always been. Copy and paste over and over again. I'm too afraid to say something? Not me. Not me. Not me. Too intelligent to stand still. That's what it is. Too spiritually inclined to let some atheists with a God complex continue to move without some type of resistance to his nonsense. Sorry, buddy. There's one variable you didn't take into account, that God actually does exist. That's the one thing that they forgot to consider. That there is a higher power who does not appreciate them moving as if they are the highest of powers, when they can't even cure themselves of skin cancer. When they occupy lands that the sun is always found. Why do you think you're not supposed to be there? You can't inhabit the land. But you want to call yourself indigenous to it? Make it make sense. You can't even live there without incredible skincare. How are you supposed to call yourself indigenous to a place that you can't inhabit? It's a God complex. It isn't reality. It's not backed by science. It isn't backed by anything cultural. It's backed by your ambition toward being the biggest and baddest guy. That's all it is. Your supremacy lies to you, friends. They don't tell the truth about you. You're supposed to be in places where it's cold. You're supposed to be in places where the sun doesn't shine as much so that you can inhabit that land, so that you can grow your hair out quicker and be able to cover yourself from that cold. That's what you're there for. You're not supposed to be where the sun at all day long. You don't have the melanin for that. So why are you trying to be indigenous to that if not for some inner hatred for yourself that you have not been able to identify because you are lacking in self-awareness? How else is that supposed to go? How can a person with self-awareness and self-control put themselves in a position to be somewhere where they die if they be there? Come on, settler, to answer the question. Let me know. How does that work? It does not work. That's the point. And you want to push out all the people with the melanin from the land where the sun is always at. Make it make sense.
You have any change for the meter, brother?
Sorry, don't, bro. And that's what it really comes down to, man. You got to make it make sense. And if you can't make it make sense, then you got to stand up against that for which is chaotic before it continues to slowly eat away at what makes sense. Chaos is not to be sat in. Hypocrisy is not to be sat in. Contradiction is not to be sat in. We got to align ourselves with things that do make sense so that we can move forward in a way that allows for us to elevate as a species, guys. Elevate. Don't let entities that are cancerous in nature, ambitious in nature, push us in a position to where nothing that we do makes any sense at all, any further than it already does. It's bad enough you let this foreign agent take over America, the biggest, baddest alleged country in the world, run by a foreign agent of white supremacy that wants to inhabit land it can't comfortably inhabit, and continue to spoil people that don't have a good enough sense not to celebrate the slaughtering of babies. That's what you're doing. And as ridiculous as that sounds, that's actually what's happening. You're taking the most spoiled child in the world and then you're putting an army around them and saying, okay, let's follow that spoiled child. And whatever that spoiled child does, we will back its play. And we will make every excuse for that spoiled child instead of spanking it so that it'll learn from its lessons. We ain't going to make it face no wisdom at all, no consequences at all. That's what Israel is. Facing no consequences. That's why the narrative has so many holes in it, because they're not forced to make any sense of what it is they do, because every time somebody's there to hold them accountable, here comes America to swoop in with millions of dollars of ammo so that they can continue to not only kill who they need to kill, but protect themselves from the consequences of it. Meanwhile, our people suffer in the streets, got states underwater because climate change. The same idiots who are investing in this nonsense invest in the problems that we have in our climate with their ambition. It's a cancer to the world, I'm telling you. That's all it is. It's the same people. The diamond crisis in these places where little kids are being forced to pick diamonds and all different types of stuff out of the walls. 3-4-year-olds and all types of horrible things that are happening in the Congo. That's them. They're investing in that. Israel's made so much money off of that, it's not even funny. They make most of the money off of the diamond industry. They're making the most of the money off of the mineral industry. It's the same people. It's always the same people. I'm telling you, you find a way to hold that entity accountable, and you're going to see so many of the world's problems disappear, it's not even worth talking about. How much better are we going to flourish if that entity is held accountable? We got to be smart enough to do that, man. We got to be smart enough not to wait for a government to do that, because the government ain't going to hold it accountable. They're too compromised. They got too many secrets that they want covered by the same people they allowing to do whatever they want to do. That's what it is. That's what I believe it is. As I speculate, a lot of these people got weirdo sex stuff going on, so they don't, you know what I mean? It's Israel's representatives who know what they're doing. So rather than to allow Israel to be held accountable and have their own nonsense exposed, they'll sit there and clap for Netanyahu and all the different weird stuff that he wants to do so that their secrets stay in the closet. That's what I think it is. Can't be certain on that one, but that's what it seemed like to me. They compromise. So you see people who know good and damn well that these people are terrorizing innocent people, provoking innocent people, turning them into what they would deem terrorists, slaughtering kids all over the place, all different footage over the last 360 days, basically. You got to ask yourself, what would keep a person quiet in the presence of something like that? Well, they'd have to be compromised in my mind. They have to be completely compromised by something devious, something sick, something dark, something that'd likely get them the chair if they were told, if it were told what they were doing. That's what it would keep them silent. And ain't no man in their right mind, ain't no woman in their right mind gonna sit back and let Israel do what they do without standing up. You couldn't pay me enough money to sit back and be quiet, man. You understand what I'm saying? But you got a whole fleet of Congress people who are complicit to this nonsense, a whole government that's just taking money. They're just taking money. Yeah, right. I'm not buying. There's a million ways to make $1, and a lot of these people are millionaires. That ain't the only thing keeping their ass quiet. No, secrets are keeping them quiet. They compromise. And that's why it's important for all of us who are on this level to use our voices and our minds and our voting power whatever way we can to vote those who are compromised out of those positions so that they can stop taking those dollars and hiding behind those people that ultimately have them by the balls. We got to do that. You can't keep picking the lesser of two evils when both evils are compromised by the same entity. That don't work. It doesn't work. And we got to be able to see through the propaganda that's been on our heads, over our heads for 1,000 years, however long it's been since they've been controlling the masses of people as they move about the earth. This is what it is. They tell you to choose from two evils, the lesser of two evils. There's no lesser. The evil is an evil. There is no lesser. It's a poison. Which poison do you want to die from? Well, the point is to survive, so I don't want either poison. The point is to keep going. I don't want to die. So what do? Well, I devise another plan. I devise another way. I don't choose from lesser two evil. I give the finger to that entire system. That's what I do. If the object of the game is to survive, I'm not going to pick a poison. If people paid attention to the things that I've been seeing for the last year, they would know why I'm speaking the way I am. They would know. When you see a child dead in your phone every single day, at least one, you gonna look up and try to figure out what's the origin of all of that slaughtering. What's the origin of all of that suffering? Why are there so many people quiet in the presence of that suffering? Why are people so okay with that? Why are they okay with that? And when you start digging deep enough, you start finding this nonsense. Colonialism, settler nonsense. The same thing they did to the Native Americans, they're doing to the people of the Middle East right now. That's what you're going to find. That's why it's going down the way it is. Because the same energy, the same entity that controlled and dominated the land that we're in right now is trying to do the same thing somewhere else right now. Only there's social media and the presence of the devices that are showing in real time the slaughtering that is necessary in order for that to be possible. That's what's happening. Picture everybody in the slavery days having a phone in their hand. That's what's happening over there in Palestine and Israel. Picture everybody in the Native American days when they were slaughtering everybody and doing all types of horrible stuff to make this land happen. And then picture everybody having a phone in their hand while they're doing it. That's what's happening over there. That's why someone like myself is so confident to speak, because I've been seeing evidence of it for a whole year. This didn't start on October 7th. It started in 1948. They've been treating them people worse, as bad as they treated black people when we first got out of slavery days. When we first got out of them damn chains, and they told us we were not able to vote, not able to go where we want to go, colored this, white people that. That's what they're doing in Israel right now to the Palestinian people. It's that right now. And in some cases, a lot worse, to be honest with you. A lot worse. And as a person of color, I'm supposed to be cool with that, or I'm supposed to turn a blind eye to that? Man, I ain't gonna turn a blind eye to that type of shit. And neither should you. Hold the people accountable, because it takes your tax dollars, American, to make that happen. They stand behind your army in trying to push forth that agenda. That's exactly what's happening here. They stand behind your army, your loved ones that you send into the Navy and to the Marines and all that. That's who they stand behind. While they invoke this unfair behavior toward people that were originally from the land. This is important, man. That's what everybody's upset about. That's what this Palestine thing is about, everybody. That's exactly what it's about. They didn't told you these were the bad guys, but they were just provoking them the whole time. They were telling you that these people were awful, but that is not what I've been seeing in my phone. That's not what's there. A lot of these people, innocent people, most of them children, they're targeting the next generation so they don't come back and hold them accountable. They're killing kids. They're targeting children. And this is not hearsay. This is not me lying. I'm not high. I'm not drunk. None of that. I'm sober. This is exactly what's happening. Wizard of Psalm 1's been telling us. It's many people who have been sitting up here telling us the whole time what's going on, man. It's time for us to start paying attention. And stop letting those who do this continue to run the world as if they're not supposed to be held accountable for these actions. They have to be. It's our responsibility to hold them accountable. Can't wait for nobody else. Can't wait for nobody to tell the truth, man. You got to be willing to tell it yourself. And that's what I've come to understand, man. And there's more to it than that. The rabbit hole gets even deeper, as you guys know. If you follow me on this channel, you know it gets deeper than that. You know that. It gets deeper. What's the Talmud? Somebody tell me what the hell is a Talmud? And why is it okay for them to do so many horrible things to people that are not Jews? Why is that? Why does it say things in that book that it's okay for them to do horrible things to people? Why? Why is it okay to steal from you in their book? Why is it okay to molest children in their book? Why? You got to start making the people who control this country answer these questions. Make them answer these questions. Why is it so important that we never see what's in those books? Why? Why do you call us Gentiles behind our back but act like we're people you want to trade with? Why? It's time to start holding people accountable. Why is the government okay with this? Why are government officials that we put in place okay with this behavior, when they won't allow us to engage in this behavior on this land. They got laws against this type of stuff. But you're letting them get away with it? Why? That's what happens when you go further down that rabbit hole of what it is we're talking about. You start finding out that they allow themselves and allow these folks to get away with stuff that they would never let you get away with. They let these people get away with treatment of individuals right next to them that you would be shunned a million ways. You would be canceled a million ways for the stuff that they allowing these people to do, for the stuff that they co-sign. They got people in jail for the stuff that they letting these settlers do. They got people who've been given the chair for the stuff that they allow these settlers to do. And so for me, I'm like, why at this point? Why is my country okay with this, if not for them being compromised? Why is Hollywood not telling the stories of these situations? Why are they so quick to tell me the Arab's a bad guy? Why? Stuff is compromised, man. Those same people have done a great job of rigging the game so that they can push all the pieces in the direction that allows for them to win each and every time. And the only thing that's going to hold them accountable, the very only thing that's going to hold them accountable, is people who are not compromised by the interests of what it is that they control. That is it. And people who are not cloaked by the propaganda that they've had over their heads, teaching them who the bad guy is and who the good guy is, who they should trust and who they should fear. You need to understand that they have done a very good job of controlling the minds of the people of the land. In this place, in Israel, and everywhere else they have these colonial projects, they have to control the minds of the people so that the people won't ask questions. Very simple questions. They got to make it so that it's rude for you to inquire about the interests and the actions of them. And you got to be too afraid to ask these questions out loud. I will not be that. I don't want nothing. They can't give me nothing. I don't want anything but for the world to change for the better. I don't care about give me my money. I don't have that interest. I'm not interested in being famous. I don't care about none of that. Kids are dying, man. This ain't about me. That's the point. They make you think it's all about you, so you be too selfish to do anything. I won't. I won't. My mother didn't raise me to be like that. I will not be that way. So as we try to figure out which way we're going to go next as a country, you just remember the conversation we've had here. Remember the words that came out of my mouth and do your own homework. Do your own homework on the Talmud. Do your own homework on Israel. Do your own homework on Palestine. Do your own homework on white supremacy. Do your own homework. Don't take my word for it. I'm just a guide. Do your own homework. And see that everything I just said right now come together for you. See, don't the proof be everywhere once you start asking the right questions. They ain't done a good job of covering their backsides because they're not being held accountable for any of this. So they don't have to. That's the point. They're getting away with it. And that's why the information is everywhere. You just gotta look for it. And don't forget, man, it don't matter which God you pray to or that you pray. You got the same enemy coming at you. That's the point. God gonna know you regardless. Whether you know him or not, he gonna know you. The question is, do you understand we're at war? Do you understand that you are in the middle of something bigger than you? That this is not about you, despite all of the propaganda over your head telling you it's all about you. Telling you about your political spaces being the most important one and you got to wage war against the other guy on the other side. That stuff does not tell the truth. The truth is there's a war above our heads. And in the presence of that understanding, we have a role to play, a responsibility to play. That each and every one of us moves the needle in our own way. Even if you don't have a lot of power in your space, you move the needle just by having the truth in your head and the willingness to act upon that truth. That is dangerous to the powers that be. And there are many people that you don't see that care about these circumstances, but all they need is to be convinced of what it is that's actually there, and they will be a part of the solution as well. They just need to be taught how to care. We are not as lost as those who are waging war against us want us to believe. We ain't that far away from the truth. We ain't that far away from understanding how to give our lives to something greater than ourselves. We ain't that far away from actually winning this war. If we were, someone like myself would have never been born to say the things I'm saying right now. It wouldn't be possible. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.